Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you to our Bhagavad Gita class. The objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are on chapter 14. We'll start chapter 14 today. And chapter 14 is called The Three Modes of Material Nature. This chapter is divided into three parts. First, from shlok number 1 to 13, it is about the conditioning of the soul by material modes. And second section is from 14 to 18 that talks about effect of conditioning by the modes. And the third section is from 19 to 27 talking about how can one transcend these modes and become gunatit. And then we'll be talking about the glories of chapter 14 from Padma Puran. Yeah, so this is the three sections that we'll take. We'll start with the first section today. And before we start, let us just quickly summarize what we have learned in the previous chapter and class. The previous chapter, we started with Arjun's sixth question, asking about what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, what is Kshetra, what is Kshetragya, what is Gyan, and what is Gayam. And Krishna answers about Kshetra. Kshetra is the field, which is our body. Kshetragya is the knower of the field, and Gyan is knowledge. And what is Gyan? What knowledge? It is to know about body, soul, and super soul. That is the Gyan Krishna talked about in chapter number 13. And then we learned that our body is made up of 24 elements. It is our body is actually made up of material nature, Prakriti, the material nature, and that is 24 elements. And then we talked about that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then about the Gyanendriya, then about the Karmendriya, the working senses. Then we talked about the sense objects, sound, taste, smell, form, and touch. And then we talked about mind, intelligence, false ego, and Pradhan. And when we talked about Pradhan, talking about the body, composition of the body of these 24 elements, we said Pradhan is basically the unmanifested state of three material modes. So the three material modes are mode of passion, ignorance, and goodness. These are the three poles. But when it is in the 24 elements, the pradhan is actually in unmanifested stage. It is not active. It is yet to be made active. So that is what we learned. And then we talked about jnanam. What is jnanam? Jnanam is the process of acquiring knowledge. And then we talked about what are the qualities or elements for of to know the knowledge. And then it talked about the various behaviors, that how the person should have those behaviors, or if he is a devotee, he will develop by default these behaviors. And then you are actually making the soil fertile, or the body fertile, to understand these the knowledge, right? And what are these 20 elements we talked about? We talked about humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, serving a bona fide guru, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of objects of sense gratification, no false ego. And what is false ego? False ego is basically identifying oneself as a body. That is false ego. Detachment, even-mindedness among pleasant and unpleasant things, secluded living, and constant and unalloyed devotional service to Krishna with undeviating attention. So this is what we defined as a 20 elements of knowledge. And then we talked about what is Gayam. Gayam is the object of knowledge. That is something which is what is to be known. That is knowledge. So Gyan is knowledge, which is about body, soul, and super soul. And what is Gayam? Gayam is what is the object of knowledge. And as per Krishna, the object of knowledge is to know about soul and super soul. And then we talked about various qualities of super soul. It is all pervading. It has legs, hands, and eyes everywhere. Then we talked about it's the source of all senses. It is actually in every element, it is there. And this is what all we talked about. And we said that actually knowledge is knowledge is, what is the object of the knowledge is to know about the soul and super soul. And then in the last class, we talked about Gyan Chakshu. Chakshu is eyes, and that is a vision of knowledge. What is the vision of knowledge? It is about the people who have already realized. They have realized that they are not this body, but they are soul. And then, so that is about the vision. How do they see things? So everything that happens in the world is a combination of Prakriti and Purusha. So what is Prakriti? Prakriti is our material nature. And what is Purusha? Purusha is a pseudo Purusha, is living entity, but actual Purusha is the Supreme Lord, right? But everything that happens is basically the combination of Prakriti and Purusha. Both are eternal. Prakriti is also eternal. Purusha is eternal. But unless there is an action between the two, and who facilitate that action is actually done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then only the things comes into picture. So if it is someone who has realized, understand that what Prakriti is the doer and Jiva is a non-doer, is actually watching. And if you see in this whole chapter, we summarize that there's only three things that we need to know, and that is what is Gyan. That is called Sambandh Gyan, the knowledge of Prakriti and soul. What is the relation between Prakriti and soul, body and soul? What is the relation between soul and super soul? And what is the relation between Prakriti and super soul? So these three Gyan is basically called Sambandh Gyan, yeah, the relationship. So this is something which, if we understand, then what happens is we are actually, then we are have the knowledge to understand how to liberate ourselves, right? And one who is realized, what does he sees? Super soul is equally disposed in all living entities, and he is residing in the hearts of all embodied beings. He is indestructible, and when he sees this and does not degrade himself with mind, will attain liberation, right? So now let us start the chapter 14, which is and we'll start the first part of chapter 14, which is the conditioning of the soul by material modes. Like, so we go to the 14th chapter, first shlok. श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानं ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिम् इतो गतः श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिम् इतो गतः श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिम् इतो गतः. Now here Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Lord Krishna says, what does he say? Param bhuyah pravakshami. Bhuya means again, and pravakshami means I'm going to tell again. I'm going to speak again. What am I going to speak of? Param. Param is the about the transcendental. What transcendental? Jnananam. Among the all the jnana, about all the knowledge. Jnanam uttamam. Something which is the best of knowledge. Yaj gyatva. By knowing that, Munaya sarve. All the sages. Sarve is all. Munaya is all the sages. Param siddhim idogata. Param means Param siddhim idogata. They have achieved the highest destination. Param is highest destination. So they have achieved the highest destination. So now Bhagwan is going to speak about some more knowledge. So let us read the English translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom the best of all knowledge,
the best of all knowledge,
knowing which
knowing which
all the sages
has
attained the supreme perfection.
attained the supreme perfection.
So why is Krishna saying this gyan is the best of knowledge again? Why is giving this knowledge? Because now whatever he is going to speak to us, in the previous chapter we talked about body, soul and super soul, and it is knowledge is knowing that body is separate, soul is separate and super soul is separate, and not identifying ourselves with the body but with the soul, that we are soul, and continuing our journey as a journey of soul is actually the way to liberation. So now he is going to explain that although we have this knowledge and our soul is actually entangled in this body, our soul is entangled in this body. So he is going to explain to us why is this entangled, how is this entangled in this body, and how by knowing that how is it entangled in this body, if we have that knowledge, then only we can free ourselves. Yeah, if we don't have the knowledge that why is our soul entangled in this body, then we cannot free ourselves, right? So in this chapter he is going to explain to us how is our body, how is our soul entangled, why is our soul entangled in this body, and that is why he says this knowledge is the best of all knowledge, because when you know this, then you have the right knowledge which can help you to get liberated. And says yach gyatva muneha sarve, and by knowing this, lot of sages have actually attained liberation, right? Now let us go to the second shlok. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyam agatah sarge apinopajayante pralayena vyathanti cha idam jnanam upashritya मम साधर्म्यम आगतः सर्गे अपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलयेन व्यथन्ति च. Now Krishna says, yeah, Mataji. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyam agatah sarge apinopajayante pralayena vyathanti cha. Krishna says, idam jnanam, idam is this, jnanam is knowledge, idam jnanam upashritya. Upashritya means, upashritya is taking shelter of this knowledge. When you take shelter of this knowledge, then what will happen? Mama sadharmya agata. What will you achieve? You will achieve sadharmya. You will have the same nature like my own. You will have the sadharm. Sadharm is here is same nature like my own, like me. Sarge api nopajayante. Sarga is creation. When the creation happens, na upajayante, you will not take birth again. When the creation happens, then you will not take birth again. Pralaya is destruction. When the destruction happened, na vyathanti cha. Even when destruction happened, vyathati in this distress. You will not be distressed or disturbed. So when you have this, when you take shelter of this knowledge, then what will happen? You will actually get the my transcendental nature. And even during creation, sargo api, during creation, no pajayante, you will not get, you will not get, yeah, you will not take birth again, and neither during destruction you will get destruction. So let us read the translation by Srila Prabhupada. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Right? So Krishna says that now when he says Sad Dharmyam Agata, it means you will attain my nature. And then Krishna says, what sort of nature we'll attain? We will be qualitatively equal to have the nature that Krishna has. We have, just like when you take an ocean and you take a drop of ocean, then all the qualities of the water of ocean is also there in the drop of ocean. If we take a drop of blood from our body, whatever the qualities is in the drop of blood of our from our body, same quality is there in all the blood that is flowing in our body, right? Similarly, the soul will have all the qualities that Krishna will have, but quantitatively it will be infinitesimally small. So Krishna is basically Vibhu. He is great, and which cannot be even conceived. And the quality that will achieve the soul, it is anu, it is extremely small. So it's infinitesimally small, where that will be infinite, right? So that is also basically what sort of sadharmyam will the soul achieve. It will be qualitatively same. Then it says idam jnanam. Now what is the gyan? This gyan is basically the transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is the knowledge beyond the knowledge beyond the three modes of material nature. It is beyond the three modes of material nature, right? Then third, mama yonirmahad brahma
Mama yonirmahad Brahma.
tasmin garbham dadhamyaham
Tasmin garbham dadhamyaham.
sambhava sarvabhutanam
Sambhava sarvabhutanam.
ततो भवति भारत
Tato bhavati Bharata.
मम योनिर्महद् ब्रह्म
Mama yonirmahad Brahma.
तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम्
Tasmin garbham dadhamyaham.
सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां
Sambhava sarvabhutanam.
ततो भवति भारत.
Tato bhavati Bharata.
So yeah,
Yonirmahad Brahma.
मम योनिर्महद् ब्रह्म
Tasmin garbham dadhamyaham.
तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम्
Sambhava sarvabhutanam.
सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां
Tato bhavati Bharata.
ततो भवति भारतः. Now here Krishna says, Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham. He talks about Mama. What do I do? Mam, the mahad brahma. Mahad brahma is basically the mahat tattva, the entire material energy. So we have talked about Prakriti, and we talked about Prakriti's material nature. And by default, Prakriti is what? Prakriti is actually eternal. Prakriti is actually eternal. And we also talked about the living entity, and we talked about that living entity is a part. The soul is basically a part and parcel of Krishna. So and it is also eternal. So we know that soul is also eternal. We also know that the material nature is also eternal, right? The Prakriti is also eternal. But what happens by the interaction of material nature with the living entity, which is actually supported by Krishna? Then what happens? The basically the material creation happens. The material creation happens, right? So here we talked about the example of mud. We said that the mud is always there, right? And then what does the potter do? Potter takes the mud and makes the pot. And then what happens when the pot, when the at the end of the life of the pot also gets destroyed, and it becomes mud. So mud is always there. But when the pot, when it's that's created, it's like actually creating the material world. It's like creating the material world. But to create the pot, we need a potter. Similarly, we need the Supreme Lord. He comes, and what does he does? Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. He actually impregnates. Garbham Dadhamyaham. I impregnate. What I do, I impregnate. What do I impregnate? The material nature. Mahad Brahma is the material nature, and I impregnate the material nature. Sambhava. Sambhava is possible. What is it? It's possible. What is possible? Sarva Bhutanam. Sarva Bhutanam means all the living entities. All the living entities. Tato Bhavati Bharata. All the living entities happens. When it does happen? O Bharat, O Arjun, all the living entities happens are actually they take birth or they take life only when I impregnate what? The material nature. I impregnate the material, and then only this Shrishti gets created. Now let us read the translation by Srila Prabhupada. The total material substance called Brahma is the source of birth, and it is that Brahma that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharat. Right? So then the question is, which are the living entities that actually he impregnates, who he gets created or move them to the material world? So it is those living entities who are, so what is the actual situation of the soul? Since soul is a part and parcel of Krishna, what is the dharma of the soul? The dharma of the soul is to serve Krishna. The dharma of the soul, the duty of the soul is to serve Krishna. And when they are serving Krishna, we all are a part of the spiritual world. But then what happens when the soul, and who is the Purush? Purush is the Supreme Personality of Lord. He is the controller. But then what happens when the soul does not want to serve Krishna but wants to become controller, and all those souls which don't want to be the, which wants to be the controller, instead of being controlled or being serving Krishna, what does Krishna do? Because they want to be the controller, Krishna impregnates, he sends all of them, he creates a material world for them and sends all those souls to the material world. And when they send, now when the souls are sent to the material world, it is also, they take the forms based on their desires and karma. Based on their desires and karma, they actually takes the form, right? And what is the difference between the Lord and the Jiva? The Jiva is the soul. The difference between the Lord and Jiva is, although the Lord creates everything, but he does not get entangled in the whole process. He is always above the material world that he's creating. Material world, just like one, he creates multiple material world, and he has no, although he's watching it, it is all getting driven by his energies. It is all his energies which is managing, maintaining the material world, but he's away from it. Although he does not get entangled, he's away from that. So ninth chapter totally talks about all these things, the quality. So it's just like the sky. The sky is always there, pervading the entire universe, right? But it is away, it is aloof. It doesn't mix with the material nature. So the sky is always there, but it does not get entangled with the entire thing, which it is all pervading. Similarly, Krishna is always there. It does not get entangled with this material world. It's enjoying separately in the spiritual, in the Vaikuntha Dham. It's all in the Golok Dham. Krishna is always there, right? But what happens? The living entity, the Jiva, which gets impregnated to this material world, actually gets entangled in the material nature. So material nature is basically is the controller when the Jiva is sent to the material world. When the living entity is sent to the material world, the material energy is the controller. And what it's called? Maya. It is called Mahamaya. It's controlling that. And then what happens? The living entity gets entangled thinking, and what does the Maya do? Material energy do? It actually wraps the Jiva in such a way that it forgets its actual position. Actual position is, it is a part and parcel of the, and it starts recognizing themselves with the body. So when the living entity comes to this world, it starts recognizing themselves as a body. And so that is what the Jiva, that is the difference between Lord and Jiva. Jiva gets entangled to the material world, whereas Lord is far away, doing his own thing, not bothered, creates and leaves it, right? To be managed by the material energy. Let's go to the next slok. So we in the ninth chapter we have read this shlok. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharachara hetu nanena kaunteya jagat viparvartate. It is Maya adhyakshena prakriti. The material nature prakriti is actually operates under my direction. Maya adhyakshena, under my direction it actually works. And then what is it? Suyate is produces. What is produces? Characharam. All the moving and the non-moving living entities are created by the mid prakriti. Hetu nanena kaunteya. And O kaunteya, what happens? Under its rule, Jagat Vipavardate. So it says that under its this one, Jagat Vipavardate is it gets created and annihilated again and again. So you say this material nature, which is one of my energy, is working under my direction. And O son of Kunti, it produces all the moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again, right? We go to the fourth shlok. सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
मूर्तयः सम्भावितः
तय सम्भावन्ति
या तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर्
तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर्
अहं बीजप्रदः पिता
अहं बीजप्रदः पिता
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति यः
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति यः
तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर्
तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर्
अहं बीजप्रदः पिता.
बीजप्रदः पिता.
Krishna says, Sarva Yoneshu Kaunteya, O Kaunteya, in the entire yoni and in the entire species that is there, Murteha is takes form Sambhavatiya, and the Sambhavati is that is possible. Yeah, Mataji, why don't you read first?
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेयः
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति यः
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः
तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर्
तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर्
अहं बीजप्रदः पिता
aham bija pradapita. So Krishna says, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. Among all the yonis, how many yonis are there? There are 84 lakh species. There are 84 lakh species. And the species that is there in our Vedic literatures are different than the definition that we have in the biology species. So biology also we talk about species. But as per our scriptures, when you say species means it is the level of consciousness. It is the level of consciousness, right? It says, Krishna says, among this 84 lakh species that exist, what happened, Kaunteya? The Murteya, the forms that take, the form Sambhavatas that happens, Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir, Aham Bij Pradampita. I am the seed giving father. So all those 84 lakh species which is created, for them, I am the seed giving father. Aham Bija Prada. Bij is seed. So I am the seed giving father. So let us read the translation of Srila Prabhupada. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father. So Krishna is the supreme father. Krishna is the supreme father. So that is the knowledge we get in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that he is the supreme father, and whatever exists are actually anything living or anything moving or non-moving, all are created via him, right? So now we move to slok number 5. Sattvam rajah tama iti
सत्वं रजस्तम इति
गुणाः प्रकृति संभवा
गुणाः प्रकृति संभवा
निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनम् अव्ययम् सत्वं रजस्तम इति
Sattvam rajastama iti.
Guna prakriti sambhava
Guna prakriti sambhava.
nibadhnanti mahabaho
Nibadnanti mahabaho.
dehe dehinam avyayam.
Dehe dehinam avyayam. Sattvam rajastama iti.
Sattvam rajastama iti.
Guna prakriti sambhava.
Guna prakriti sambhava
Nibadnanti mahabaho.
nibadhnanti mahabaho
Dehinam avyayam.
dehe dehinam avyayam. So now from shlok number 5 to shlok number 19, Krishna explains the Prakriti, material nature in detail. Right? Now, Krishna says the first, this shlok, fifth, he starts talking about the qualities of the guna. Guna is the quality of material nature. And he says, Sattvam Rajah Tamah iti. There are three guna. Guna means there are three guna. There are three qualities of Prakriti Sambhava. It's possible the Prakriti has got three qualities. Sattvam. Sattvam is mode of goodness. Rajah is mode of passion. And Tama is mode of ignorance. And it's Krishna says that these are the three qualities, Prakriti Sambhava. And then he says, Nibadhnanti Mahabaho. A Mahabaho. Mahabaho is Arjun. O Arjun. Nibadhnanti. Nibadhnanti is it binds. Binding. What does it bind? Dehe Dehinam Avyam. Dehe means body. And Dehinam means the soul. The living entity inside the body is Dehinam. So Dehinam and Avyaya is eternal. Avyaya is that something which cannot be spent, right? Avyaya. Imperishable. And that is eternal. So in the soul which is inside this body is actually it is actually bound. It is bound by the three modes of material nature, which is sattvam, raja and tama. These are the three good. As soon as the living entity gets moves to the material world, the living entity as such is pure, right? But as soon as the living entity is sent to the material world, it gets conditioned. Becomes entangled. It becomes conditioned. And what does it get conditioned with? It gets by the three modes of material nature. So let us read the translation. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjun, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Right? Now, for us to understand these modes, we'll have to understand. Now a question can come to our mind when we look at this material world. We talked about that there are 84 lakh species, and species is a kind of consciousness, the state of consciousness. There are 84 lakh species that we have in this material world. And when we look at the material world, no two people are similar, right? Everyone has a different way of thinking. Even in a family, we don't see all the family people think alike. Everyone is different. Their behaviors are different. Their color may be different. Their height and may be different. Their in a society we see everyone is different. Not only about human. When you talk about the birds, look at the words. There are a variety of words in the universe. When you look at animals, similarly there are a variety of animals. Look at the material nature, the beautiful nature. It has got so different colors, different plants, different so many shades that we have, and the material nature is full of all these things. So why does this variety happens in the entire material world? So all this happens is because of these three modes of material nature. Whatever behavior we have is because of these three modes of material nature. Now, to understand that, we can compare. A very common example that is taken is about the three primary colors. We would have learned in our school that there are three primary colors, which is red, yellow, and blue. These are the three primary colors. And all the colors that we see around our is basically a combination of either two or three or multiple in different percentage when we say. So basically there are only three primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. But all other colors that is created in the universe is basically a mixture of all these three things. Similarly, there is only three gunas, that is goodness, passion,
goodness,
and ignorance.
ignorance.
There are only three. But each and every individual has these three qualities in different proportion, and accordingly the behavior of people are. Yeah, it all depends upon at what quality. No one is pure. No one is pure. All of us have, everyone has these three things: goodness, passion, and ignorance, but at a varying degree. And accordingly, their behavior, their nature, the way they respond, the way they act, everything gets defined by that. Right? Everything gets defined by that. Right? So let me tell you a story about a father and a son. Right? So what happens is, once a very, very rich father, he was a big businessman and he had two sons. So what happened? The younger son came to him and said that, Father, you please give me my share. I want to go away and take care of my business. The father says, why do you want to go away? We are, I'm getting old. You and your brother are there. Everything belongs to you both only. So why don't you, stay here and take care of things along with your brother? Yeah. He said, no, 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 I don't want. I want to enjoy independently and I want to go and have, please give me my share. I don't want to do business with my brother. I would like to do on my own and do my things on my own. Father tried to convince the younger son for quite some time, but when the son was adamant, he says, fine, you want to go? Go. And then what happened is, the son actually went away to the city. Now this son went to the city, a young son having lot of money. So there, what happened? When you have lot of money, he actually initially tried to do something or the other, but finally he got into some association. He spent all his money, and when you see you have rich, you have money, then what happens? So you basically, he started enjoying his life, looking for more happiness, and finally, he actually lost all his money, and finally he became a beggar. Now when he became a beggar, he was actually begging near a temple. Now someone from that village happened to visit that city. Now he saw this son and said, okay, this looks like the same son of the younger son of that rich person in our village. So he went to him and said, are you this? He said, yes. Why don't you come, and your father is so rich, why are you begging here? He says, no, 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 I cannot go because I've already taken my share. He said, doesn't matter. Why don't you come with me? He tried to convince the younger son, and he took the son back to his father. Now, when his father saw his son coming back, he was extremely happy. He was very, very happy. And he actually, threw a big party. So to welcome his son, and he did a big yagna, and he called everyone he gave a big what do you call it, he had called everyone for a big dinner. And then what happened, now the elder son was a bit confused. He said, Father, I was always here with you, I was always serving you, but you never did this to me. But my younger brother, he actually, he fought with you, he went away, and now when he has returned, you are actually so happy, and you are doing such a great, lavish party on for him. He says, son, I am very, very happy that he has come back. And that is why I am doing that. And you were always sensible. Yeah. So did not had to put that effort. So you were always sensible. You were always on the right track. But finally, I'm happy that he has come back. So that is the situation. We all are like the younger son of God. We all wanted to enjoy away from God. So all of us are like, yeah, the younger son of God, and we wanted to,
we will realize one day.
yes, so we all wanted to come to this material world and become the false Purush. So Purush as a soul, because I want to be my master, and I want to be a controller, and I want to do everything the way I want. And okay, forget about my God. So what happens? We keep on searching of our happiness, our this thing, and keep on struggling with forgetting the God. And then what happens? Finally, we are distressed. And when we realize someone, so what happens? We need someone from who is realized to come and tell us. Someone realized to come and explain to us about it. And that is why God has made have made saints, so that who are sent to this material world, who are realized, and they come and they actually knock at our door and help us to understand that who we are. And we are in such a way we don't even know that we are struggling. We are in such a situation, we are thinking we are thinking we are this body and enjoying along with our body, or feeling distressed with the body without realizing who am I, and what is my real goal. Without realizing, we are enjoying. So what does Krishna do? He sends actually saints who can actually help us to understand that who are we, who am I, and what is my real position, what is my real goal, and help us to go back to Godhead, right? Yeah. So now this guna, the word guna also means, not only it means the three qualities, guna also means rope. Another meaning of guna is rope. Now, sattva, the mode of goodness, is also binding. Binding what? Binding the dehinam, the soul, to this deha, and also making us repeat in the cycle of birth and death. Even the mode of sattvam is not helping us to get liberated. It is also binding us. The difference between sattvam, rajas, tama is, when we think from a rope perspective, sattvam is like a chain of a gold chain. Sattvam is like a gold chain. Raja is like a silver chain. Raja is like a silver chain. And tama is like a iron chain. It is a chain made up of chains. So all of us are actually in this world. Someone is bound by a golden chain, someone is bound by a silver chain, someone is bound by a iron chain. And then what happens? The person with the silver chain is looking at the person at a golden chain and trying to compete to become like the person of the golden chain. And there's someone who, but still happy that, okay, you have got a iron chain, right? So this is how the game is continues to happen in the material world, and we forget Krishna, right? So Krishna says that because everyone is fighting and everyone is so much covered by Maya, he says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavita. I am watching. I am watching. Super Soul is also in all our heart. He's just watching. He's waiting for the son to get realized to go back to father. He's waiting. And why he doesn't show himself? Why he doesn't show himself? Because we have to cry for him. We have to understand, who am I? So only when we start asking that question and praying for that, then he will actually send the right saint who can help us to go back, right? So this is guna is also, so all of us are also bound by the three chains, right? Now let us look this three qualities. Now these three qualities are not only found in human beings, but anything that exists in this material world, we can actually qualify them under these three categories, under the categories of sattva, raja, and tama, and transcendental. Spiritual is, which is beyond these three things, which is beyond the three gunas, is the spiritual part. So for example, animal. Now when you talk about cow is in the sattva. It is in the sattva mode. Lion is a passion. Monkey is an example for tama. But human who is who's realized, is a transcendentalist. He can actually approach he can transcend the three modes of material nature. Even the time that we have can also be divided into these three, can be categorized into sattvam, raja, and tama. Yeah, goodness. For example, early morning. Some people are very very active early in the morning, and they have got, that is the a time when they find a lot of energy, and that is the time which is the mode of goodness. Similarly, the daytime is a mode of passion, and night time is a mode of ignorance. And but any time when we are serving Krishna, any time in the day, that's transcendental time, right? That is the time in which you are actually doing all your transcendental. So that becomes a transcendental time. Now what happens? All of us, none of us are pure. All of us have all these things in a various combination. Like someone may feel very very active in the morning, but active in the day, and night is very lazy. Someone will be very not active in the morning, very active in the daytime, but very okay active in the night time. So everyone is different. Similarly, the place, the forest or the village, they are categorized as the sattva. There's a place of goodness. City is a place of passion, and bar, they are the place of ignorance. Temple is spiritual, right? Food, fresh fruit, vegetables, grains, they are sattva, mode of goodness. Spicy food is passion, and meat and liquor is ignorance. But prasadam becomes spiritual. Similarly, object of worship, when we are worshipping devatas, it becomes mode of goodness. Powerful men, many people worship people, right? Then it is basically mode of passion. When it is ghost and spirits, it's mode of ignorance. And when we are worshipping Lord Krishna, it is transcendental, it is spiritual, right? So anything that we have, we can actually classify into these three modes. Let us go to the sixth slok. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat
सत्वं निर्मलत्वात्
prakashakam anamayam
प्रकाशकम् अनामयम्
sukha sangena badhanati
सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति
jnana sangena chanagha
संगेन चानग
tatra sattvam nirmalatvat
तत्र सत्वं निर्मलत्वात्
prakashakam anamayam
प्रकाशकम् अनामयम्
sukha sangena badhanati
सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति
jnana sangena chanagha.
संगेन चानग
Mataji.
तत्र सत्वं निर्मलत्वात्
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat
प्रकाशम् अनामयम्
prakashakam anamayam
सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति
sukha sangena badhanati
संगेन चानग
jnana sangena chanagha. Anagha is addressing Arjun. Anagha means a sinless person. So Krishna addresses Arjun as Anagha, O sinless one. Tatra sattvam. Now in this shlok he is explaining the quality of sattvam. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. What is sattvam? Sattvam is nirmala. Nirmala means without mal. Nirmal. Mal is dirt. So it is without dirt. It is pure. So what is the characteristics of sattvam thing? The people who are in the mode of goodness, they are nirmalatvat. They are without dirt. They are actually very pure. Then prakashakam anamayam. Prakashakam anamayam means, anamayam basically means they are free from sinful reactions. They are free from sinful reactions. So anamayam is say, and prakash is light, right? And then sukh sangena badhanati. They are also bound. They are also bound in this material, in the cycle of birth and death. How? By sukh sangen, because they are always happy, and sangen, they association of happiness, jnana sangena, and by gyan. So because of their, because they are very satisfied, I am happy, and because of the knowledge that they have, now they are happy that okay, fine, everything is fine, and let me continue the way I am living, not trying to come out of this cycle of birth and death. They are happy, and basically the way they are into, they think that this is perfectly fine, and they are identifying themselves with the soul, with the body, and they are looking only at their bodily happiness, and that is okay for them. So what happens when we are in that mode? Then it is basically that binds us, the happiness and the gyan, which is binding, which is not making us realize the difference between the body and soul, is actually binding us for in the cycle of birth and death. So let us think into this. So Tatra Sattva, let's read the translation from Srila Prabhupada. O sinless one.
No, it's okay. O sinless one,
the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode becomes conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Right? So the question is, why do we suffer in our lives? We all suffer, right? Something or other. We each and all of us have some or other reasons to suffer. Why do we suffer? Sins.
Previous sins.
Right? Because of the sins either we have done in this life or the previous life. So what happens as soon as that becomes mature, that then we actually suffer that now if there is no sin, if the sin is already taken care of, then what will happen? We'll become pure happy, right? So that is why Krishna says Sattvam Nirmalatatan Prakashagam Anamayam. So the people who are in the mode of goodness, they are happy because they have already taken all their sinful reactions are already taken care. They have already finished all their sinful reactions. Again, when their sins are done, again they will be in distress. But they are mainly in the mode of happiness because that's it. Now think about if we have to enter a room which is dark. What will happen? When we enter a room which is dark, we are not sure. We'll be very conscious because we don't know what exactly is inside the room and how. I will be very conscious, right, that we should not fall, right? But what happens if I switch on the light? Then I can see everything what is there in the room and I can walk nicely in the room, right? Similarly, the prakash that Krishna talks about in this shlok is about the prakash of gyan. When we get the gyan, then what will happen? When we have the knowledge, then we know, okay, what I am facing now is because of my prarabdh, because of the karmas I have done, I have to suffer. So the people who are in the mode of goodness, they have more knowledge. They understands the karmic cycle. They understand that I am suffering all these distress in my life because of my either the karmas that I have done in this life or in previous life, right? So they are knowledgeable from a karmic perspective. So the behavior that they will have is more tolerance. They will know, okay, suppose I am eating and I cut my tongue, then what will happen? Will I blame others that why my tongue got cut? Yeah. So they know that it is my tongue is cut because of me. Similarly, what I am suffering is because of my reactions. So they will actually tolerate and then they will try to look at the positive side and try to move forward in their life. But if suppose there is a person in the mode of passion, it will start. What will it start? Okay, this has happened with me. They will start having reaction. So, but and that's why the person who is in a mode of goodness is more happy because he understands, he has acknowledged. And now the next line Krishna says, Sukh Sangena Badhanati. But still they are bound, they are still conditioned. Why they are conditioned? Because the happiness gives them the gyan and happiness that they have makes them feel proud. Because the gyan and happiness that they have actually makes them feel proud that I am superior than others. I am superior than others. They may have read lot of scriptures. They may have read lot of so they have that knowledge, and that knowledge they become proud of that knowledge that they have, and because of that, that actually leads to the bondage, right? So with this, we move to the next shlok, 14.7. रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णा असंग समुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्म संगेन देहिनम् रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णा संग समुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्म संगेन देहिनम् माताजी रिपीट रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णा संग समुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्म संगेन देहिनम्. So Krishna says, Rajo is the mode of passion. Ragatmakam vidhi. Rag is attachment. Rag means attachment. Vidhi is great attachment. Trishna is desire. Right? Trishna is pyas basically, right? Sanga Samudbhavam. Sanga Samudbhavam. Tan Nibadnati Konteya. Samudbhavam is it happens, it gets created, right? Tan Nibadnati, and to them, the O Konteya, they get bound by karma sangain, by doing fruitive activity, dehinam, by this body. So let us read the translation by Srila Prabhupada. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. So, the mode of passion is actually defined by the attraction between man and woman. Yeah, so that is passion, that is the rag, the attachment. Now, because of this attachment between the man and woman, so what happens? They want to they want to enjoy, then they want to have a family, then they want to have a house, then they want to have a car, then they want to have a status in the society, and then they want to maintain their status. So all those things happen just because of the attraction between the man and woman, right? So Krishna says rajo ragatmikam vriddhi, because of the increase in the attachment or the attraction between the men and women, the men, the people, basically the people, they get actually bound into lot of activity, and they, it becomes more of a mandatory to have those duties for material happiness. Because when we have a family, we have to work, we have to ensure that my child has a nice education, so all these things happen. So it is all because of being in the mode of passion. And then what happens with that, dehi is basically the body. So that, what does it bound? Then it basically it leads to karma sangain, to lot of material activities that has to be done for fruitive reactions. And that is how the person who in the mode of passion gets bound, right? So let us read the English translation. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longingness longings. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Right? Right? So this is how the passion binds us to do work. I mean, all of us are going through that or have gone through that, right? So this is what happens. But when we have the right knowledge, what we can do, we can actually put Krishna. So we'll read how actually we can come out of it and what is the right way of living. Later, Krishna will explain us. So first, he's helping us to understand exactly when we are doing this thing, in what mode we are in, and how those mode affects us. Right. And when we understood that, then we have the realization, and then we can help and see how we can disentangle our soul to get liberated, right? So with this, we will finish today's class. So Hare Krishna, let us now read and chant our Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you.